Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. Great article here from CFO Dive. I'll leave a link to it in the description so you guys can check it out. So as we head into tomorrow's Analyst Day, it looks like T-Mobile's CFO has received a hike in his compensation, and the article is saying it could possibly signal that T-Mobile is going to further try and get large-scale acquisitions. Very possible, and that they're dealing with some antitrust scrutiny. So I want to say the Sprint and T-Mobile deal showed T-Mobile everything, right, from a positive and a negative perspective. They've seen it all. During that process, they've seen all the scrutiny. They've seen everything that they can possibly see, and they're going to take that experience into the U.S. Cellular deal, which is far smaller than the Sprint deal. Now, just like with everything, you can't please everybody. There's going to be people that like this deal. There's going to be people that don't like this deal. That's how it's always going to be. You're not gonna ever get 100% of people on board. There's always going to be a split. So in this case, right, for this deal, for this U.S. Cellular deal, there are people that like it. There are some people that don't. And I'll read off here briefly. The new compensation agreement could signal T-Mobile's goal of retaining its CFO, which, I mean, they're clearly going to do, as it continues a push of aggressive growth marked by large-scale acquisitions, some of which have sparked antitrust concerns, the Sprint deal, among lawmakers as a trend of consolidation continues in the telecom industry. So I want to be clear on this in this video before we go into the Analyst Day tomorrow. Outside of U.S. Cellular, there's really not much else for T-Mobile to grab, right, in terms of a large-scale acquisition. There are a couple of other players. I think C Spire's out there, very small. I don't think T-Mobile will be interested in that. And I think there's Viaero, but T-Mobile is overbuilding that footprint as we speak. So, I mean, not much else, at least attractive, right? U.S. Cellular is still big enough where it was attractive for T-Mobile. They could get 30% of spectrum assets. They could retain some tower size. They could get some customers, right? With Viaero and C Spire, it might not be attractive enough. They have assets as well, or those assets, but it's very likely not attractive enough. And T-Mobile has done a lot of work in investing over the years to overlay that footprint. They still have more work to do in those areas as well, but they're much further along in overlaying that footprint versus perhaps U.S. Cellular. And maybe U.S. Cellular, not maybe, but U.S. Cellular is a bigger footprint to obtain that would put a significant dent into T-Mobile and helping them with coverage growth and scaling and being able to continue to grow in those parts very quickly and effectively. But, outside of that, I mean, the CFO has done his job, right, at T-Mobile. He's been able to continue the growth on the free cash flow, the EBITDAs. So on that front, right, and they've been able to smartly purchase more spectrum, more assets over the years. Like I said in a video not too long ago, right, everybody's saying, well, Verizon spent $50 billion on C-band, AT&T spent billions. Outside of the Sprint deal, and I made that very clear, right, that T-Mobile spent $26 billion on. If you total everything else they purchased, I mean, they're right at that $50 billion mark. The additional 600, the additional 2.5, the C-band, the DoD, right now U.S. Cellular. If you total all of that up, they come right around that $50 billion mark. So it's not like they're not spending. T-Mobile is also spending. They're spending very aggressively. And I've said it. I've said it in a previous video. I'll say it here again. I like the T-Mobile executive team and their execution. Right, if we had to put them up against AT&T's and Verizon's teams, I would take T-Mobile 9 times out of 10. Right, their team, they execute well. Do they have flaws? Of course, but if you don't try and lose, right, you don't learn. Right, they clearly learned from T-Vision. they're learning now this the satellite process that it's very likely not going to work, right? The way at least it was structured, right? With SpaceX, Starlink, interference, texting only, perhaps. So they're learning that process too. And then you learn from that, you move on, and you try something else. So tomorrow, I think we will all get more clarity on T-Mobile's future. A lot of people have been asking, right, behind the scenes. I've been speaking with people. It's just the network is largely built out as it pertains to 5G, right? The mid band is reached 300 million pops. The low band is at like, I think, 330 million pops. They're now over 2 million square miles covered with 5G. Like 90% of the network is 5G, which I assume is like maybe 2.2 million square miles. As of 2018, 2019, I think their total square mileage was reported at 2.5 million square miles, which still puts them behind the competition, right? If you look at Verizon, 2.7, AT&T claims 2.9 million. So still clearly smaller than the competition, but quite big, right? At 2.5 million, if you take that at face value, that's quite a large network. That's nothing to sneeze at, right? Are they still, if the claims of AT&T is to be believed, you know, T-Mobile would still be 400,000 square miles smaller of a network, but 2.5 million, like I said, is nothing to sneeze at. And they can continue building on that. They can get to 2.6, they can get to 2.7, and I'm sure the U.S. Cellular deal helps grow that square mile footprint. So the last piece to the puzzle is really just closing that coverage gap to the competition. I think T-Mobile fares very well and competitive in the top 100 markets as it comes to network, maybe even the top 125 markets that are tested by RootMetrics. I think T-Mobile fares very well now. They have a ton of spectrum. They have more spectrum to dedicate to 5G. They still haven't deployed their other assets. They still haven't made use of millimeter wave. So they still have a ways to go to generate capacity if they choose to. And tomorrow, we should hear a little more on how they plan to make use of those other assets, at least through the rest of this decade. And then we can make videos. I can make the video, break that down, and then really explain to you guys what the next steps of T-Mobile is. But for now, CFO got a compensation. I think all of the management team is probably due for compensation increases based on the success that they've enjoyed. Free cash flows are going up. Next year, they will probably report another free cash flow increase. EBITDA, ARPUs, ARPA, everything should go up modestly. They will continue to raise price. I'm not going to sugarcoat that here. I don't think they'll tell us tomorrow, like, hey, we're going to increase price, but maybe they hint towards that. I'll definitely look out for that. But from me to you, I'm just letting you know, for those of you who stick around to the end of the video, price increases are more than likely to happen. I'm about 99% sure that T-Mobile raises price again at some point. And, it's on the business side to the market, it's very justifiable. T-Mobile's network is larger. They've invested a lot of money, so they're looking for a return on investment. And then the biggest piece to all of this, right, is going to be the fiber piece. I think that's right now, that's the unknown. I think we have a general idea of where they should be heading with the wireless network. Like I said, I feel they should be doubling down the FWA piece. But the fiber piece is the unknown. And I think most analysts are going to look forward to what T-Mobile has to disclose on fiber, because that's a new stream of revenue, new excitement to build around, new growth opportunities. So I think T-Mobile is also going to be speaking very highly of fiber, just like AT&T. But I think T-Mobile is still going to be largely remain pure wireless because they don't have a big fiber footprint to really celebrate, right? They're starting off. This is very early. And to get to the level of an AT&T of the scale and size, I mean, who knows if T-Mobile will ever be able to obtain that. T-Mobile doesn't own and operate any of their fiber. I don't know if they ever will under this current leadership. So it's really just a lease and just a leasing opportunity, right, with the open access. Yes, T-Mobile will enjoy additional profits and revenue from that, but, they don't own and operate it, so they don't enjoy the owner's economics of that. situation. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Hopefully you're going to tune in tomorrow for this, and we'll see what happens. I have my notes ready. My coffee will be ready. I'm off, so we'll definitely tune in. So let me know your thoughts. Like, share, subscribe if you're new. Follow my social media outlets. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. See y'all in the next one. Peace.